The crystal chandelier cast a warm glow over the private dining room as I walked in. My smile froze when I saw their expressions. Mom's practiced smile, Dad's averted gaze, my brother Caleb's barely concealed smirk. "Happy birthday, darling," Mom said, her voice too bright. "We have some news." I hadn't even taken my seat when Dad cleared his throat. "We finalized the transfer of the family assets to Caleb." My champagne glass paused midway to my lips. The inheritance, our grandparents' estate, the family business shares, everything we'd been told would be split equally, all of it gone. On my 32nd birthday. Why? The word escaped my lips, barely audible over the restaurant's soft jazz. Mom's perfectly manicured hand reached across the table, not quite touching mine. "Because you don't need us, Rhea. You've always been independent." The way she said it made it sound like a character flaw. Caleb swirled his wine, not bothering to hide his satisfaction. Someone has to carry on the family legacy. I felt the stares of the waitstaff, pretending not to notice our family drama unfolding. The birthday cake sat untouched on a side table, 32 unlit candles waiting for a celebration that would never happen. I placed my napkin on the table and smiled. "That's interesting, because neither do you." "What are you talking about?" Caleb scoffed, but something in my expression made his smirk falter. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to a document I never thought I'd need to reveal. 3 years ago, when the family almost lost everything, who do you think saved you? Dad's face drained of color. Mom's smile disappeared. "You were in Europe," Mom whispered. "I was on a video call with the bank, writing checks, transferring my savings. I turned my phone around, showing them the property deed. I own the family estate, paid in full, my name, my money." Caleb choked on his wine, the deep red liquid splattering onto his pristine white shirt. "That's impossible," he sputtered. "Dad wouldn't." "Dad was desperate," I cut in. "The bank was 48 hours from foreclosure. You were unreachable on some yacht in the Mediterranean. Who else could he call? While you were buying sports cars, I was making investments. While you were posting vacation photos, I was signing papers," I continued, my voice steady despite the earthquake inside me. "You wouldn't dare," Mom whispered, understanding dawning on her face. "You wouldn't evict your own family." I raised an eyebrow. "Try me." I drove home in silence, my birthday cake untouched in the passenger seat. Rain pelted my windshield, matching the storm inside me. 3 years ago, I'd been in Barcelona closing a major client deal when my phone rang at 3 a.m. "Rhea, please," Mom had sobbed. "We'll lose everything, just a loan for a few months." I'd transferred nearly my entire savings that night. Not a loan, a purchase. My lawyer had insisted on the deed transfer for protection. "Just between us," Mom had promised. "No one needs to know. We'll pay you back as soon as things stabilize." But they never had. Instead, Dad's business had limped along, and Caleb had continued his lavish lifestyle. My requests for updates on repayment plans were met with vague promises and guilt trips. "We're family, Rhea. Why are you being so formal about this?" My phone chimed with an email notification. "My lawyer. Urgent. Attempted property transfer detected on the family estate. Caleb Sullivan attempted to file ownership documents today. Call me immediately." He what? I leaned forward in my lawyer's office the next morning, stunned despite everything. Maya adjusted her glasses, sliding the documents toward me. "He attempted to transfer that property back to himself and your parents, claiming the original transfer was temporary and under duress." "That's a crime," I whispered, my fingers tracing the forgery of my signature. It was close, too close. He'd clearly been practicing. "Forgery and attempted fraud, yes." Maya's expression was grim. "We need to decide if you want to press charges." I stared at Caleb's signature, a perfect forgery of my own. How many times had he practiced that? How long had he been planning this? "There's more," Maya continued, flipping to another document. "They've been making inquiries about retroactively classifying the property transfer as a family gift to avoid the implications. Essentially trying to rewrite history." My phone buzzed with a voicemail from Mom. I played it on speaker. "Rhea, darling, I'm worried about you. This behavior, it's concerning. Caleb's been having anxiety attacks. Please consider what you're doing to him. To us, we raised you better than this, sweetheart. Family comes first, always." Maya raised an eyebrow. I felt something harden inside me like concrete setting. "File whatever we need to file," I said quietly. "All of it." That evening, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The family group chat had exploded. Mom. Family dinner this Sunday, mandatory. We need to discuss recent events. Some people really need to check their priorities. His wife Eden. Money changes people, not always for the better. What's going on with everyone, Mom? Just some misunderstandings that need clearing up in person. Let's keep this private. Eden. Hard when some people prefer lawyers to conversations. I scrolled through the passive-aggressive barrage, my dinner growing cold beside me. Each notification made my stomach tighten. This was classic Sullivan family dynamics. Hint at issues publicly, pressure the problem person privately, maintain the perfect family image at all costs. Then a private message from my cousin Marcus appeared with a screenshot. It was Caleb's private Facebook status. Dealing with family betrayal. Some people hide mental instability behind success. Please keep us in your thoughts. Some battles can't be seen from the outside. The character assassination had begun. Have you heard Caleb's interview? My assistant Jamie asked hesitantly the next morning, placing coffee on my desk. My stomach dropped. What interview? She grimaced, pulling up a podcast on her phone. The Unfiltered Truth with host Ryan Davis, a college acquaintance of ours. I pressed play and heard my brother's voice. Growing up with a sister who constantly undermined me was difficult. She'd hide my homework, sabotage my relationships. Now she's successful and gaslights everyone about our past. When our parents decided to streamline the family estate plans, she just snapped. We're all walking on eggshells. I opened my bottom desk drawer and pulled out a thick manila folder labeled receipts. I'd never thought I'd need it, but something had always told me to keep it. Every transaction, every email, every text message meticulously preserved. As I flipped through the folder, memories surfaced of other times Caleb had twisted the truth. When he'd borrowed my car in college and crashed it, he'd told our parents I had lent it to him while intoxicated. When he'd taken money from Mom's purse, he'd suggested I might be responsible. I'd always stayed quiet, keeping the peace. Not this time. Inside the folder were meticulous records, bank statements, transfer receipts, emails. 3 years of my life dedicated to saving them from financial ruin after Dad's business partner embezzled company funds. The mortgage payments for the estate, $18,500 monthly for 14 months. Caleb's car loan, payoff, $64,000 when the bank threatened repossession. Eden's fertility treatments, $37,000 that they'd sworn they'd repay. A personal loan to Dad to keep the business afloat, $120,000. Mom's credit card debt, $43,000 paid off in full. I stared at the numbers until they blurred. Not once had they mentioned repayment. Not once had they shown gratitude beyond the initial tearful thanks. Instead, they'd continued their country club memberships, their luxury vacations, their image as the perfect successful family. After an hour of deliberation, I took a single mortgage statement, heavily redacted except for the amount and my name, and posted it to my Instagram story with just 5 words. Sometimes silence costs too much. My phone rang at 7 a.m. Mom's name flashed on the screen. How dare you, she screamed, her voice cracking. You're humiliating this family. I stared out my apartment window at the city skyline, surprisingly calm. I didn't name anyone. I posted a redacted receipt. Everyone knows it's about us. Your brother is devastated. Eden can barely get out of bed. Is that what you wanted? The familiar guilt rose up, but I pushed it back down. Is that what you asked Caleb when he went on a podcast calling me mentally unstable? When he forged my signature on legal documents? That's different. He was protecting the family. From what, Mom? From me being repaid for saving the estate? For me having an equal share of what Grandma and Grandpa always intended to be divided equally? Her voice turned cold. You were always difficult. Always had to do things your way. This is why we made the decision we did. No, you made that decision because Caleb manipulates you, and you let him. You always have. I won't listen to this. Take down that post and call your brother to apologize, or don't bother coming to Sunday dinner. Ever again. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, a strange sense of freedom washing over me. The ultimate threat, exclusion from the family, had finally been voiced, and I realized it didn't frighten me anymore. 10 minutes later, Dad's name appeared on my screen. I almost declined but answered at the last moment. Rhea? he said quietly, none of Mom's hysteria in his voice. "We need to talk. Just you and me." "Why should I trust you?" A long pause, "Because I never wanted any of this. Please." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet. We sat at a quiet corner table in a coffee shop. Dad looked older than I remembered, his shoulders stooped, eyes bloodshot. "Your mother pushed for the change," he confessed, staring into his untouched coffee. "Caleb's business ventures keep failing. He needed this win. So you sacrificed me." The words tasted bitter. I was exhausted, Rhea. The fighting, the pressure. I signed to have peace. At my expense. He couldn't meet my eyes. "Caleb convinced your mother that you were different, that you didn't need the inheritance, that you were doing so well on your own. And the loan? The money I gave you? Did that factor into your decision at all?" Dad shifted uncomfortably. "We were going to address that separately." "When? After cutting me out completely?" He looked away, guilt etched in the lines of his face. "You've always been the strong one, the successful one. You were always just the backup plan anyway." I froze. "Backup for what?" Dad's eyes widened, realizing his slip. He swallowed hard. "Nothing," I misspoke. "Dad." My voice hardened. "Backup for what?" He looked around as if searching for an escape. "Caleb's ventures. They haven't all been above board. There have been some legal complications." My mind raced. "What kind of complications?" "Nothing serious," he said too quickly. "Just some cash flow issues. Creative accounting. Caleb thought if everything were in his name, including the estate, he could better protect the family assets if there were ever issues." "You mean if he got sued? Or investigated?" The implications hit me like a wave. You put everything in his name to shield it. Dad's silence was confirmation enough. And my money? The loan? Was that part of his creative accounting too? He wouldn't look at me. "You should talk to your brother about that." I stood up, throwing a 20 on the table. "I think I'll talk to my lawyer instead." After Dad's hasty departure, I called Maya. "Run a credit check on me. Everything. Now." 2 hours later, my worst fears were confirmed. A $60,000 personal loan opened in my name during my semester abroad in Spain 5 years ago, recently refinanced. Address for correspondence, my parents' house. "This is identity theft," Maya said, her voice tight with anger. "And given the timing of the refinance, right before they changed the will, it suggests premeditation." I thought about Caleb's sudden influx of cash 5 years ago. The investment opportunity he'd bragged about at Christmas dinner. All while I was in Spain, my passport timestamps proving I couldn't possibly have applied for the loan in person. My brother had stolen my identity, used my social security number, all while planning to cut me out of the inheritance. "What do you want to do?" Maya asked. I closed my eyes, seeing Caleb's smug face at the birthday dinner, his self-righteous podcast interview, his forged signature on legal documents, file a fraud report, all of it. An hour later, my phone rang. "Miss Sullivan? This is Detective Monroe. We need to discuss the fraud case you filed." Detective Monroe was crisp, precise, and her eyes missed nothing as she spread documents across her desk. "The loan was taken out while you were documented to be out of the country," she confirmed, tapping my passport records. "Recently refinanced with a forged signature that doesn't quite match your other legal documents." "My brother," I said quietly. "Based on the evidence, yes. The loan proceeds were deposited into an account under his name, then immediately dispersed to several other accounts. We're tracing those now." "Any idea what the money was used for?" She hesitated. "We have some preliminary information, but I can't share specifics yet. I can tell you that we've flagged some concerning patterns. Your brother has been on our radar for other matters." My heart sank. "What kind of matters?" "Again, I can't be specific, but we appreciate you coming forward. Identity theft between family members often goes unreported." "Are you prepared to move forward with charges? This will mean a formal investigation into your family." I thought about Sunday dinners, Christmas mornings, the facade of family harmony we'd maintained for years, all built on lies. "Yes." She gathered the papers, her expression softening slightly. "Miss Sullivan, a word of advice? When people are cornered, they get desperate. Be prepared for retaliation." Rain was pouring as I left work that evening. I hurried to the parking garage, only to stop dead at the sight of my car. All 4 tires were slashed, the metal rims sitting directly on the concrete. Security footage showed a hooded figure, but the build was unmistakable. Petite, like Eden. My brother's wife. The black luxury SUV pulling away matched their vehicle. As the driver pulled away from the garage, my phone pinged with a TikTok notification. Eden's account had tagged me in a video. Her tear-streaked face filled the screen as she whispered dramatically, "Some people love playing the victim when they've always been the villain. My husband is having panic attacks. Our son asks where his aunt is, but she's too busy with lawyers to care about family. Toxic family, pray for us." The gaslighting had reached a new level. I forwarded the video to Maya and Detective Monroe, adding it to the growing body of evidence. Then I blocked Eden on all platforms. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "They're getting scared. Stay strong." My college friend Zoe, now a journalist, called the next morning. "Someone's shopping a story about you to gossip blogs," she warned. "Something about a family meltdown and erratic behavior. They're painting you as unstable, Rhea." My hands curled into fists. "Let me guess, no name attached to the pitch." "Nope, but it's detailed. Personal. Only family would know this stuff." I thought back to Detective Monroe's warning. This was their next move, trying to destroy my reputation before I could damage theirs. The pitch mentions concerning Instagram posts, aggressive legal threats, and a history of jealousy issues. They've even suggested you're bitter about your brother's family because you're single. The familiar Sullivan family playbook. Attack, discredit, isolate. I'd seen them do it to others who challenged the family narrative, but I'd never been the target before. I made a decision then. What if I told you the real story? With evidence? Zoe didn't hesitate. "I'd publish it, ethically, with your permission. My editor has been pushing for more pieces on financial abuse." That night, I sat with Zoe for 3 hours, showing her every document, every receipt, every manipulative text. She recorded, took notes, and occasionally wiped away tears. Her feature, The Price of Family, How One Woman Quietly Saved Her Family Only to Be Betrayed, went live the next morning. It was careful, factual, and damning. Within 24 hours, it had been shared over 100,000 times. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of comments from people sharing similar stories of family financial abuse. Experts weighing in on the prevalence of identity theft between relatives. Then came a text from my cousin. Lorraine got fired from her charity board. They cited ethical concerns after the article. Mom had built her social standing on her philanthropic work. The first domino had fallen. Dad shut the door behind him, his hands trembling. "We're losing everything, Rhea. The article, everyone's seen it. Clients are pulling contracts. The country club revoked our membership. Your mother can't show her face in public." "And that's my fault? Not the fraud? Not the lies? You could have handled this privately." His voice rose, then immediately dropped as he remembered where we were. "It didn't have to be this public spectacle. I tried private. You ignored me. Caleb called me mentally unstable in a public podcast. Eden accused me on social media. Who made this public first?" He ran his hands through his thinning hair. "What do you want? Money? We can figure something out." "This isn't about money, Dad. It's about years of manipulation. It's about Caleb stealing my identity. It's about all of you using me as your personal bank while plotting to cut me out. Please," he begged, "just talk to Caleb. You two can fix this. For the family." I studied the man who had once seemed larger than life to me. Now he just seemed small, trapped in a web of his own making. "I'm not your repairman anymore," I said quietly, and opened the door for him to leave. The package waited outside my apartment door when I got home. No shipping label, just my name in block letters. "It was hand-delivered," my doorman explained. "A man in a baseball cap. After he left, I realized it might be your brother." I opened the package carefully. Inside was a broken picture frame, the one that had sat on my childhood dresser, containing a photo of Caleb and me building sandcastles at age 6 and 8. The glass was shattered, the photo torn down the middle. Beneath it lay a single typed word: unravel. My hands trembled as I called building security. They reviewed the footage. Caleb's face was clearly visible as he handed the package to the doorman, hat pulled low but unmistakable. The implied threat was clear. If I continued unraveling the family secrets, he would escalate. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about control. I texted Maya, "I need a restraining order." The fraud case moved quickly. Detective Monroe called with an update. The district attorney is proceeding with charges. Your brother has been formally summoned to appear. The financial trail is clear, she continued. The loan in your name didn't just benefit your brother. Some of those funds were transferred to your parents' accounts as well. They may be named as co-conspirators. My stomach twisted. I'd suspected Mom's involvement, but hearing it confirmed was another blow. What happens next? Your brother will be arraigned next week. You don't need to appear for that, but you should prepare for the preliminary hearing. Your testimony will be crucial. My phone had been unusually quiet. Mom had gone silent after her initial rage. According to family friends, she'd taken to her bed, claiming health issues. Caleb had deleted his social media accounts, but Eden had doubled down, starting tearful live streams about being targeted by family jealousy and praying for healing. Watching one such live stream, I noticed something in the background, a designer handbag I recognized. It was from a limited collection released just 2 weeks ago. Retail price, $4,200. Apparently, their financial situation wasn't as dire as Dad had claimed. That evening, I posted the full documentation of every dollar I'd given them. Dates, amounts, purpose, no commentary needed. The numbers spoke volumes. The internet exploded with support. Rhea receipts began trending. The shift in public opinion was seismic. Eden's followers began questioning her previous statements. Caleb's business associates distanced themselves. Former family friends reached out to me privately, sharing stories of similar manipulations they'd witnessed over the years. Even extended family members began taking sides, with most expressing shock at what had been happening behind closed doors. I always thought it was strange how they lived, Aunt Linda confessed by phone. Your father's business wasn't doing that well. Now I understand. Then came the most unexpected development, a formal letter from Dad's attorney. This letter confirms that James Sullivan has revised his will, naming Rhea Sullivan as primary beneficiary of his personal assets. I read it 3 times, emotions swirling. Not satisfaction, not vindication, something closer to sadness. This hadn't been about the money. It had never been about the money. It had been about the truth. About being seen and valued for who I was, not just what I could provide. The call came at midnight. Dad had been admitted to the hospital with chest pains. Stress-induced, the doctor explained when I arrived. Not a heart attack, but a warning sign. Mom sat by his bed, her carefully maintained appearance cracking around the edges. She didn't speak when I entered, just shot me a venomous glare. Dad looked frail under the hospital lights. You came, he whispered when he saw me. Of course I did. Mom excused herself stiffly, muttering about coffee. Once she was gone, Dad reached for my hand. I should have protected you, he said, his voice breaking. From all of it. From them. From myself. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Why didn't you? Cowardice, he admitted. Pure cowardice. Your mother, she's always been unstoppable when she wants something. And Caleb learned early how to play her. I took the path of least resistance. At my expense, he nodded, eyes filling with tears. I let them treat you like the family ATM while praising Caleb for every minor accomplishment. I watched them take and I said nothing. And the identity theft? Did you know about that? His silence was answer enough. In the hallway afterward, Mom cornered me by the water fountain. Are you happy now? She hissed. You broke this family. I looked at her, really looked at her, perhaps for the first time. No, Mom. The family broke a long time ago. I just finally stopped pretending it hadn't. Detective Monroe called the next morning. We have security footage from the hardware store near your office. Your brother purchasing the exact tools used to slash your tires. Timestamp 2 hours before the incident. She sent the footage to my phone. There was Caleb, baseball cap pulled low but his face clearly visible, buying a hunting knife and gloves. Paying cash, looking over his shoulder. This is enough for an arrest warrant on property damage and potentially stalking, given the package incident, she explained. Do you want to proceed? I thought about the broken picture frame. The slashed tires, the threats. Yes, I said firmly. All of it. We need to meet, privately, please. The text came from an unknown number, but the next message confirmed it was Eden. I can prove everything. I just need help getting out. We met at my lawyer's office, neutral ground with witnesses. Eden looked nothing like her polished social media persona. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, her hands constantly fidgeting. "He's not who I thought I married," she whispered. "When the money problems started, he changed. Or maybe the mask just slipped." She slid her phone across the table. "I have everything. His texts admitting the fraud, planning how to cut you out, screenshots of him practicing your signature." I scrolled through the messages, stopping at one that made my blood run cold. "I'll ruin her. She'll wish she never got born." There were hundreds of texts. Caleb discussing the identity theft with Mom, planning how to manipulate Dad into changing the will, joking about my donation to the family while plotting to ensure I never saw a penny of the inheritance. "After your article came out, he smashed everything in our bedroom," Eden said, voice trembling. "He screamed that you'd always been jealous of him, that you were trying to destroy the family." The look in his eyes. I was afraid. Eden glanced at her sleeping son in his stroller beside her. "I can't let my baby grow up like this, but I need help." "What do you want?" Maya asked cautiously. "Protection. Help filing for divorce. A fresh start away from the Sullivan family drama." I looked at this woman who had participated in my public humiliation, who had slashed my tires, who had posted tearful videos calling me toxic. Now she needed my help. "Why should I trust you?" She met my eyes directly for the first time. "Because I have nothing left to lose. And because I was wrong about you. I believed his lies for years. I don't anymore." Maya nodded slightly. "We had our smoking gun. After careful consideration, I decided to address everything publicly, once and for all. I recorded a simple video in my living room. No makeup team, no scripted lines, just the truth. Financial abuse happens in families too," I began. "Sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones who exploit you." I didn't name names. I didn't need to. I simply laid out the facts chronologically, my voice steady despite the emotion behind each word. I explained how I'd saved the family estate, how I'd discovered the fraud, how I'd been gaslit and manipulated when I stood up for myself. "For years, I believed the problem was me," I continued. "That I wasn't generous enough, forgiving enough, loving enough. I thought if I just gave more money, more understanding, more patience, things would change." I paused, composing myself. "But that's how financial abuse works. The goalposts keep moving. The gratitude is always temporary. And when you finally say enough, you become the villain in their story." I showed redacted documents proving the money transfers, the fraudulent loan, the property deed. "I'm not sharing this for revenge. I'm sharing this because too many people suffer in silence, thinking they're alone." Breaking cycles of abuse isn't betrayal, I concluded. It's self-preservation. The video reached 3 million views within 48 hours. My inbox flooded with messages from people sharing similar stories. A major publishing house emailed with a book deal offer. Families, finances, and freedom. Breaking generational cycles. For the first time in months, I felt like something good might come from all this pain. The doorbell rang at 9 p.m. Through the lobby camera, I could see Mom pacing, mascara streaking down her face, gesturing wildly as she argued with the doorman. "I need to see my daughter." Her voice cracked through the intercom. "Everything is falling apart. Tell her I lost everything." I watched her performance with a strange detachment. The trembling hands, the dramatic gestures, the careful application of just enough makeup to look presentable, but smudged enough to appear distraught. This was vintage Lorraine Sullivan, the crisis actor who had starred in family dramas my entire life. I didn't buzz her up. Instead, I wrote a note on monogrammed stationery. "Actions. Meet consequences." I asked the doorman to deliver it, watching through the security feed as she read it, her performance momentarily interrupted by genuine shock. She crumpled the note in her fist before storming out. An hour later, the texts began. "How dare you? After everything I've done for you, I gave you life, and this is how you repay me? You've destroyed our family name." I blocked her number without responding. The next morning, a courier delivered an envelope. Inside were court documents. A formal complaint from my legal team against Mom for conspiracy to commit fraud and defamation, with Eden's text messages as supporting evidence. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined. Caleb sat with his attorney, looking diminished in his Navy suit. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom sat in the back row, dressed in somber colors as if attending a funeral. Dad was absent, still recovering at home. The gallery was otherwise empty, our extended family and social circle having wisely kept their distance from the Sullivan implosion. Eden testified first, her voice trembling as she detailed how Caleb had planned everything, using my identity, forging documents, even plotting how to make me seem unstable if I ever discovered the truth. The security footage played next. Then the financial records. Each piece of evidence another nail in the coffin of Caleb's denials. When I took the stand, I spoke clearly about the pattern of exploitation. How I'd saved the family financially only to be cut out and stolen from. How they'd attacked my reputation when confronted. I don't take pleasure in being here today, I told the court. This is my family. I love them. I still do in many ways. But love shouldn't require financial exploitation. It shouldn't demand silence in the face of fraud. Caleb's attorney tried to paint me as vengeful, suggesting I'd manipulated the situation to seize control of family assets. Isn't it true that you've always resented your brother's close relationship with your parents? No, I replied calmly. I resent having my identity stolen. I resent being used as an ATM while being told I wasn't worthy of my inheritance. There's a difference. As I stepped down, the judge looked at me with unexpected compassion. You've been incredibly generous, Miss Sullivan. I hope today brings you peace. For the first time since my birthday dinner, I felt the knot in my chest begin to loosen. The court finds the defendant guilty on all counts. The judge's voice echoed in the silent courtroom. Caleb stared straight ahead, his face ashen. The sentence came swiftly. Restitution of $75,000, 200 hours of community service, mandatory therapy, 3 years probation. Mr. Sullivan, the judge added, looking directly at Caleb, I strongly suggest you use your mandatory therapy sessions to examine the patterns that brought you here today. Identity theft between family members suggests a profound lack of boundaries and respect. That doesn't change overnight. The civil suit against my parents would proceed separately, a fact that weighed on me, despite everything. As I walked to my car, my assistant handed me an envelope that had been delivered to my office. Caleb's handwriting on the front. The postmark showed he'd mailed it before the verdict. I slipped it into my purse, unsure if I would ever read it. That evening, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset. Caleb's unopened letter lay on the table beside a glass of wine. I picked it up, broke the seal, and unfolded the single page. The first line told me everything I needed to know. This is all your fault. Without reading further, I tore it into pieces and let the evening breeze carry them away. No more anger, no more blame, no more bitterness. For too long, I'd measured my worth by what I could provide to my family. I'd believed their love was conditional on my usefulness. Every check I'd written, every problem I'd solved, every sacrifice I'd made, all in pursuit of an approval that never truly came. I thought about the young woman I'd been 3 years ago, transferring her life savings in the middle of the night to save her family. She had been desperate for belonging, for validation, for the warmth of unconditional love that had always seemed just out of reach. That woman was gone now. In her place stood someone stronger. Someone who understood that real love doesn't come with invoices, that healthy families don't keep score. That sometimes the greatest act of self-love is drawing a boundary and holding it firm. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Can we talk soon? I responded with one word, eventually. Healing would take time. Trust, once shattered, doesn't mend overnight. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't rushing to fix everything for everyone else. I was giving myself permission to heal at my own pace. The next morning, I boarded a plane to Barcelona, the city where I'd been when this all began. My carry-on contained just essentials and a journal. My phone was set to out of office for the next month. As the plane lifted into the clouds, I felt lighter than I had in years. The family estate, the inheritance, the drama, none of it had defined me. And none of it would confine me. The past 3 years had cost me nearly everything I'd saved. But they'd also given me something priceless, the courage to value myself beyond what I could give to others. I was finally, truly free.